You know that feeling when you're absolutely sure about something, and then one new fact comes along and just completely flips your world upside down? Well, that mental update is exactly what we're talking about today. We are going to demystify something called Bayes' theorem. But don't worry, we're not going to treat it like some scary formula. Think of it as a powerful tool for thinking smarter. And to do that, we're going to solve a little mystery together. We're going to see how one single piece of information hiding in a credit report can take a company's financial risk and literally make it 3 times worse. It sounds wild, I know, but by the end of this, you'll see exactly how it all works. So, here's our game plan. We'll start with what we think we know, then introduce a game-changing new clue, see how the update process works, reveal the pretty shocking result, and then, most importantly, connect it all back to real-world decisions. Let's jump in. All right, first step, an uncertain prediction. You know, every big decision starts with our best guess, our baseline understanding of the world. So, let's picture a company. This company needs to manage its risk, and a huge part of that is trying to figure out how many of its customers might, well, not pay them back, default on their payments. To do this, they do what most companies do. They look at their past data. And what they find is pretty simple. Historically, about 10% of their customers default and 90% pay on time. This right here, this is what's called our prior probability. It's the belief you hold before you get any new information. It's our starting point. And this is so important. The company is literally running its business with this number in mind. They're assuming there's a 1 in 10 chance any customer will default. All their strategies, their policies, it's all based on this single number. But what happens when the world gives you a little more info? Let's see how one crucial new clue is about to shake things up. So the company gets a brand new credit report, and this report has one key piece of data. It tells them if a customer's debt is overdue by more than 180 days. 6 months. This isn't just a vague historical average anymore. This is fresh, specific information about their current customers. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. When they look at the people who eventually did default, a whopping 85% of them had this huge overdue debt. That seems like a pretty clear red flag, right? But here's the twist. 20% of the people who paid up just fine also had that same red flag. So just seeing that someone is way overdue isn't a slam dunk. We need a way to figure out how much this new clue is actually worth. And that, my friends, is where Bayes' theorem comes into play. It's the formal mathematical way to combine our old belief, that 10% risk, with this powerful new clue. At its heart, that is all Bayes' theorem is. It's a structured way to change your mind when you get new information. It takes your old belief, your prior, and gives you a new, updated, posterior belief. It basically turns a gut feeling into a much more educated guess. Now, here's the formula itself. Don't let it scare you. We're not going to do a math quiz. Just think of this as the engine under the hood. It's what's taking that old 10% number and mixing it with the new info about overdue debt to spit out a brand new, smarter belief. And this visual shows what's happening perfectly. We started with just 2 paths, right? Default or not default. But now we're adding new branches based on our new clue. We're asking, okay, if someone defaulted, what's the chance they were overdue? And if they didn't default, what's the chance they were overdue? We're building a much richer, more detailed map of reality. So the stage is set. We have our old belief. We have our new clue. It is time to combine them and see what happens. And trust me, it's a bit of a shocker. This is where the magic happens. We're taking all those numbers, the 10% prior, the 85% connection, that tricky 20% for the non-defaulters, and we're running them through that Bayesian engine. It weighs everything perfectly and calculates our new updated odds. And boom, there it is, the answer to our puzzle. For a customer who has that big red flag, a debt over 180 days overdue, the risk of default isn't 10% anymore. It has jumped all the way to 32%. That's more than triple the original risk. Let's just look at that for a second. If we zoom in on only the customers with that overdue debt, our belief has to shift big time. Our vague 10% guess has now become a very specific and much scarier 32% risk for this particular group. That one piece of information changed everything. But Bayes' theorem is a two-way street. It's not just about spotting risk. It's also about identifying safety. So what about all those customers whose accounts are in good standing? For those customers, the news is amazing.
The analysis shows there's a 98% chance they will not default. See? The new information lets the company separate the really high-risk people from the super low-risk ones with incredible precision.
Okay, so we have these new numbers. 32% risk over here, 98% safety over there. But so what? The real power is turning this new understanding into smarter, real-world actions. Just look at this contrast. Before, with the old 10% number, the company was treating pretty much everyone the same. But now, the entire game plan changes. You can tighten the screws on that 32% risk group while confidently doing business with the 98% safe group. This is what it's all about, being efficient and precise. And that really is the big takeaway here. Sticking to an old belief when new facts come along is just bad business. Bayesian thinking lets you be agile, lets you respond to the world as it actually is, not as you thought it was. The source material really nails it here. It says this new information is insightful because it shows the true severity of the problem. Knowing that the risk is exacerbated for one specific group gives you the power to actually do something about it.
In the end, Bayes' theorem isn't really about math, is it? It's a mindset. It's about having the humility to update your beliefs. We all have these priors, these things we believe about the world. So the real question is, are we looking for new evidence? And maybe more importantly, are we brave enough to change our minds when we find it? So I'll leave you with this. What's one belief you have that might just be waiting for its own Bayesian update?